Competition starts in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
The rules are simple. You place one hand on the van. If you remove your hand for any reason, you're out. Last person to remove his hand wins the van.
Both mind and body have to be very strong. Very strong.
All right, everybody, I hope you're all comfortable up there because the standoff for the steal starts in 3, 2, 1.
It seems like every sitcom from the early 2000s had this episode where they had a car competition where the cast members had to keep their hand on the vehicle and whoever had it on the longest kept the car. Zoey 101, Psych, The Middle, My Name Is Earl, Malcolm in the Middle, The Blacklist, That 70s Show, Regular Show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that's just the shows that I know about having this episode. I'm sure there are more. And if you know of one that I didn't mention, feel free to toss it down in the comments. I'm pretty sure Full House had one, but I couldn't find it, so I don't know, maybe you guys can. So what is up with this hand on the car competition trope? Like, where did it come from? Why does every show seem to have an episode? It turns out that these competitions were a big deal in the 70s and 80s. Car dealerships would put them on as kind of a big giveaway. They'd have the radio station come out. It was like marketing before the internet. So why did television writers take this car dealership competition and use it as a common trope in their shows? Well, in 1997, a documentary came out called Hand on a Hardbody. This documentary followed some of the contestants in one of these competitions in Texas. This documentary really documented what these contestants were going through during this competition, how it was affecting their bodies, but most importantly, how it was affecting their minds. Hand on a Hardbody was a huge hit. It won the Los Angeles Film Festival Best Documentary. It comes highly recommended by Quentin Tarantino, and it was adapted into a musical. Check out this clip from the 2013 Tony Awards. They absolutely nailed the casting of the religious lady. Like, I kind of thought it was her at first, but if you notice, and if you're a big fan of The Greatest Showman, that is actually the actress who plays the bearded lady.
To be the joy of the Lord in me. Ooh.
When I saw that this documentary about a car dealership competition was adapted into a musical, not only a musical, but a musical that was nominated for Tony Awards, my first question was why? And I think the musical itself does a pretty good job of explaining this in its opening number.
It's more than a contest, it's more than dumb luck. It's more than extra cash, it is much more than a truck. Someone's gonna cry here, someone will go insane, and someone will be laughing at someone else's pain. Someone's bound to glory, the rest are bound to lose. You'll get 100 different stories with 100 points of view.
One of the things that make this documentary so special and interesting is that we get to meet a whole cast of wacky characters placed in an interesting situation. There's a woman who is so religious that whenever she starts feeling the effects on her body, she just starts busting out laughing and screaming worship music. There's a former winner coming back to the competition to try and claim his throne. There's a woman who flies off the handle because she thinks that everyone is cheating. There's a guy who eats 15 Snickers bars and then ends up having to drop out of the competition because his blood pressure drops so low. And even though they're all just standing completely still with their hands on a vehicle, it is still riveting entertainment. We meet this wacky bunch and we start rooting for some of them and we start rooting against other ones. And most importantly, we want to know who is going to win. And that is what a sitcom is. A situational comedy is a comedy that takes wacky characters and puts them in funny situations. So in 1997, when the documentary came out, it wasn't just musical people that were like, hey, we should adapt this. But sitcoms saw it as a great idea for an episode, especially That 70s Show, who was actually airing in 1997 when the documentary came out. Hand on the car competition was relevant to pop culture at the time, and sitcoms have typically done a really good job of being a time capsule of what was relevant in pop culture at the time. But now I know what you're thinking. What about some of the other shows that have used this trope well after the fact that it was relevant in pop culture, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Well, I think at this point, that competition has just become a trope. It's become something that was done by past sitcoms, and so now new sitcoms use it as a kind of rite of passage. Like how every sitcom has the sneaking out of the house episode, or the my parents are out of town, let's throw a party episode. Also, when sitcoms are putting out like 22 episode seasons and they're constantly having to write new situations, I imagine one where everyone's standing still with their hand on a vehicle becomes appealing. It's pretty simple. You just put your main cast in one of these competitions. They're all competing to win this car. That's the plot. But the interesting part comes with how are they going to react to this situation. Take the episode of Psych where this competition happens. Henry Spencer is a retired detective who is a hard ass. He prides himself on how good of a detective he is. He has the patience, he has the skills. But how is he going to react when he finds out that the person he's competing against is planning to donate the truck to a charity for orphans? It's a really great situation for us to learn more about characters, or to even just amplify things we already knew about the characters. Take the episode of That 70s Show I mentioned before. We know that Bob loves his daughter Donna. But in this competition, when one of the other competitors say that they wish that Donna called him daddy,
I want Donna to call me daddy.
well, he immediately takes his hand off of the car and tries to fight him, proving that he loves Donna more than he loves winning this car competition. In the same episode, the character Jackie shows up to visit her boyfriend Kelso, who is a competitor, and he's in the final two. And Jackie is established as an annoying character, but they really drive that home by, in the competition, she's talking to Kelso so much that the other competitor is annoyed to the point that he can't take it anymore and he quits. All of this started because I was just curious why these shows all had this episode. It turns out to have a really cool history, you know? People enjoyed these hand on the car competitions that car dealerships would put out, and so they made a documentary, and then people really liked the documentary, and so they made it into sitcom episodes and a whole musical. And now it's a common trope that shows use often to show off their characters' personalities, their reasons, their strengths, and their weaknesses, all while being really entertaining to watch. So next time you're watching a show and one of these hand on the car competition episodes pop up, you will know the history, that it's all thanks to some Texans who wanted to win a competition, and so they made a documentary out of it, and then a musical. Thanks for watching. I want to once again recommend the Hand on the Hardbody documentary. It's really interesting. I had a blast watching it, and also you should like and subscribe to me, not the documentary.